Eden even shows Margaret, while pregnant, being attacked by wild dogs. But did that actually happen in real life? Let's talk about Eden, because this movie really caught my attention. It says it's inspired by real events, but the whole time I was watching it, I could not help asking myself, did this really happen in real life? Take the Baroness for example. In the film, Ana de Armas plays her as this manipulative, almost evil figure who tries to control everything. But was she really like that in real life? Or did the movie turn her into a villain for the drama? And then there's Frederick. Did he actually kill the Baroness? Or is that just part of the legend? And what about the Wittmers? Their story raises so many questions. In this episode, we're uncovering the Galapagos Affair based on the movie Eden, digging into what's true, what's exaggerated, and what still remains a mystery. Because the deeper I go into the real history, the stranger and more fascinating it becomes. In 1929, a man named Dr. Frederick Ritter and his wife Dora Strange left their home in Germany because they did not like the way people were living back then. They moved to a faraway island called Floriana in the Galápagos Islands. Frederick wanted to write a big book about his ideas, while Dora practiced meditation to help with her illness. They believed the world kept making the same mistake, fighting wars and bad leaders. They thought they're the only people who could fix things and build a better life. At first, they were happy to be alone on the island, but the peace did not last for long. In the movie, Dora is shown as Frederick Ritter's wife, so they are presented as a couple. Is that the truth? It's a fiction. In real life, Dora was not Frederick Ritter's wife. She was actually his mistress, and she left Berlin, abandoning her husband to follow her lover, Dr. Ritter, to a remote and completely deserted island, Floriana in the Galapagos. Together, they hoped to escape the world and build an entirely new life far away from civilization. Ritter himself was no stranger to success. He was a respected doctor in Berlin with a thriving practice and comfortable life. Yet, he made a shocking choice. He left his career and his wife behind to pursue a lifelong dream of renouncing society and living entirely off the grid with Dora. It's also true that Dora had multiple sclerosis, and Frederick helped look after her, using his own ideas about healthy eating and natural living to treat her. Another wild detail from the movie Eden is the scene where the Baroness invites everyone to the dining table, and we see that Jude Law's character, Dr. Ritter, is wearing a stainless steel dentures. Is that true? It's a fact. It's not just a movie prop, it's based on a true story. Before heading off to their isolated life on Floriana Island, Frederick and Dora both had their teeth removed back in Germany. Why? Well, Ritter, being a doctor, believed that pulling out his teeth would somehow strengthen his gums and help him survive a raw, primitive lifestyle. Dora, who suffered from multiple sclerosis, went through it too. But here's where it gets really intense. Once they were on the island, Dora's remaining teeth started rotting from the lack of proper care, and without dental tools, Ritter had to use, get this, gardening tools to remove her decaying teeth. Yeah, you heard that right. This strange dental routine gave rise to a legend of them being the toothless couple of the Galapagos. Their unusual lifestyle did not stay a secret either. Passing ships noticed, and European newspapers even reported on them, turning them into something of a bizarre island legend. The Wittmers. Heinz and Margaret Wittmer arrived on the Floriana Island with their young son Harry, who was sick with tuberculosis. Their doctor had recommended sending Harry to a sanitarium, but the family simply could not afford it. When Heinz heard about Frederick Ritter's experiment on the island, he decided to follow his footsteps, believing that the fresh island air could help heal his son. The Wittmers try to be nice and make friends at first, but everything changes when they meet the unfriendly Dr. Ritter and his partner Dora. Ritter takes control in an unusual way. He makes Dora's pet donkey carry the Wittmers to a hidden cave far away in the forest. This cave is not cozy or easy to live in. It's deep in the trees, empty of food or comforts, and the only water comes from a spot that still needs digging. Ritter believes in nature rule. Stay away from your neighbors. In other words, the lonely cave is not just a home, it's a challenge, testing how far people will go to survive and follow his strange rules. The Wittmers proved their resilience. They dug a makeshift well to collect spring water, worked tirelessly to build a front yard farm, and eventually moved out of the mosquito-infested cave into a stone house they completed in just a few months. In the movie, did Dr. Ritter actually tell the Wittmers to live in the caves? Is that real? It's a fiction. In Eden, there is a scene where Dr. Frederick Ritter directs the Wittmer's family to a remote cave on the Floriana Islands. However, it is important to note that this specific interaction is a dramatic interpretation created for the film and is not directly supported by historical facts. The movie draws inspirations from real events involving European settlers in the Floriana Islands. While both groups face isolation and harsh conditions, historical accounts do not provide detailed records of Dr. Ritter instructing the Wittmers to reside in a cave. The Baroness and her lovers. Eloise, a self-proclaimed Baroness, arrives on Floriana Island in style with two loyal companions, an Ecuadorian servant, fancy gowns, and big plans for a luxury hotel. In the movie, her companions joins her for a wild swim in the ocean before she visits Ritter and Dora. When she meets Ritter, he shocks her by appearing completely naked and then directs her to the cave with a water supply. Fun fact, the Ritters were known for practicing nudism. They were strong believers in living close to nature and free from civilization rules, so nudity was part of their philosophy. The Baroness boldly flaunts herself, even bathing with her engineer in the Wittmer's pond. Later, she gives Heinz a stack of letters, some for Ritter, but Ritter reveals she kept the letters on the purpose to stir up conflict. When confronted, she cunningly blames Ritter, showing just how manipulative she is. Her selfishness does not stop there. One day, when Margaret's water breaks, she is left alone and scared. While Margaret goes into labor, Robert, one of Eloise's lovers and servant, sneaks into the Wittmer's house to steal the food instead of helping. Despite wild dogs and chaos, Margaret gives birth. Heinz returns in time, cuts the umbilical cord, and even gets Ritter to help with his placenta. Later, when the servant objects to her cruelty, she fires him, proving just how selfish and harsh she can be. When I watched this scene the first time, I was like, no way this is real. Did Margaret, who is pregnant, get attacked by wild dogs? Did this really happen? It's a fact. In an interview with Vanity Fair, director Ron Howard said that Eden is based on the true story of the people who settled on Floriana Island. To make the movie feel real, he even visited some of the actual locations. One dramatic scene in the film shows Sydney Sweeney's character, Margaret Wittmer, giving birth in a remote cave surrounded by wild dogs. Howard shared that he visited the real cave in the Galapagos, where the part of the story is set, dating back in the early 1930s. You look at the cave and you can't imagine anyone endured this, but it happened. Okay, Ron Howard said that, but I cannot find any proof that it actually happened. While the settlers faced harsh living conditions, isolation, and interpersonal conflicts, there is no historical record of Margaret being attacked by wild dogs while pregnant. So I say this is fiction. But is the Baroness really mean in real life? Is she rich or a fraud? So what's the deal with the Baroness? She claims she had been part of the imperial court in Vienna, where her mother supposedly served as the maid of honor, but there's no record of her in Vienna's high society. Instead, her early life took her to Paris, where, lacking talent to be a proper actress, she worked as a dancer in nightclubs. In Paris, she became known for her attention-seeking ways, gaining publicity through scandals, romances, and easy money. Ambitious and dramatic, she left Marseille in July 1932 for Galápagos Islands, accompanied by her two lovers. Three things seemed to rule her life. 1. Attention. She loved to be noticed and talked about. 2. Money. She tries to get wealthy. Visitors give her money. 3. Sex. Her love life was shocking for that time. In the movie, the Baroness tries to cause trouble by hiding Dora's donkey, which leads to Heinz to accidentally shoot it. Dora is heartbroken. Ritter and Heinz soon discover how manipulative Eloise has been. Heinz takes a stand and joins Ritter to confront her at her camp. A fight breaks out when Robert comes out first and Heinz kills him. Eloise tries to bribe them with the promises of a hotel, but Ritter shoots her. They throw both bodies into the sea. But what is the truth? Who murdered the Baroness? On March 27, 1934, something strange happened on the Floriana Island. The Baroness and her companion, Philipson, suddenly disappeared. According to Margaret Wittmer, the Baroness stopped by her house and announced that friends had arrived on a yacht. They were sailing off to Tahiti, she said, and anything they were not taking was left for Lawrence. That very same day, the Baroness and Philipson supposedly left and were never seen again. But here's the problem. No one else saw a ship that week, and the Baroness never turned up in Tahiti. Even stranger, she left behind most of her belongings, including things she surely would have taken, even on a short trip. That's when the rumors began. Dora and Dr. Ritter suspected that the Baroness and Philipson did not leave at all. They believed Lawrence might have killed them, with the Wittmers covering it up. Dora even thought that the bodies were burned, since acacia wood found on the island burns hot enough to erase almost all traces. To this day, the fate of the mysterious Baroness of the Floriana remains one of the Galapagos' most haunting secrets. The mystery of Lawrence's disappearance. Lawrence was desperate to leave the Galapagos. He managed to talk to a fisherman into helping him escape. The plan sounded simple. First, they would sail to Santa Cruz Island, then head to San Cristobal, where Lawrence could catch a ferry to the mainland city. At first, everything went according to plan. They reached Santa Cruz, but somewhere on the way to San Cristobal, both men vanished without a trace. For months, no one knew what had happened. Then came the shocking discovery. Their dried, mummified bodies were eventually found on an island. The strange part, the island is way up to the northern part of the islands, nowhere close to where they were supposed to be. To this day, no one can explain how or why they ended up there. The truth behind the death of Frederick. In November of that same year, something tragic happened. Frederick died from food poisoning after eating spoiled chicken. This was already strange because both he and Dora were vegetarian. But Dora later explained that the terrible drought had left the island with hardly any vegetable. Desperate for food, she and Frederick boiled some dead chickens they found. But here's what raised some eyebrows. Frederick became very sick, while Dora did not seem affected at all. To many, that was suspicious. When Frederick was on his deathbed, both Dora and their neighbor, Margaret, were by his side. But what they claimed to witness could not be more different. Dora said his last moments were filled with love and tenderness between them. Margaret, however, told a darker story. She said Frederick glared at Dora with hatred. Unable to speak, he scribbled one last message on a piece of paper: "I curse you with my dying breath." After Frederick's death, Dora left the island for good. She eventually returned to Germany, where she passed away in 1943. What do you think? Did Dora actually kill Frederick? What about the Baroness? Who do you think who killed her? And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.